Underdog Fantasy, quickly becoming one of the most well-known names in the space of DFS and fantasy sports. They have drafts, but for this video specifically, I'm going to be talking about the Underdog Pick'em and how all of that stuff works. So I will be giving you a beginner level tutorial about how the Underdog Fantasy Pick'em works and what are the optimal entries and what are not. For me, my name is Matt Modi. I'm a content producer and betting analyst for oddsjam.com. Before I was at oddsjam, my full-time job in the real world was as a data analyst. So I have used the skills of my professional career, applied that towards sports betting, found a home at oddsjam. If you want to find me on social media, you can at my Twitter handle you see on the screen here, also in the description of the video as well. So Underdog Fantasy. The way it works, it's essentially a tool where you can parlay different player props. Now, if you're unfamiliar with what a parlay is, you're basically adding multiple selections into one individual ticket. The more plays you add, the higher the payout is. But the main catch here is if one of your plays lose in a parlay, then your entire parlay loses. Now, Underdog does have different options like flex options and stuff like that. Insurance is what they call it. I'll get into all of that, but all you really need to know about Underdog is it's specifically for player props, and you're choosing a player to go over or under, higher or lower than their specific prop, and the more plays you add, the higher the payout is. So as you can see here, the player is Pascal Siakam, and there are a bunch of different props we can choose from. I will take him to go higher than 23.5 points, and then I'll scroll down. I'll choose one of his teammates, Fred VanVleet, to go higher than 18.5 points as well. So you enter in the amount that you would like to stake, and all of the information kind of pops up here. Now there are a couple points here that are really, really, really important to understand. So I want to make sure that you are listening carefully. Point number one, the payout that you see here includes your initial risk. So the payout that you see here is the same exact thing. So if I risk $10 on a two-leg entry, I would get a total payout of $30, but that includes my initial risk. So in terms of raw profit, a two-leg entry doubles your money. So when you look at the payout multiplier or you look at the payout, you need to subtract your initial risk, and that is how much money you will profit. So basically just with a two-leg one, you will 2x your money. So if I risked $10, both of these players went over, I would profit $20. And because it's a parlay, if one of them loses, one of these plays loses, then I lose my entire $10. That's the first important point, the way the payouts work. The next important point is it does not matter what individual plays you add into an underdog selection. This payout multiplier, this payout is going to be the exact same no matter what. So instead of choosing Fred VanVleet, let's choose OG Anunoby over 4.5 rebounds. It's the same exact payout, $10 to profit $20. I add back in Fred VanVleet. The payout goes from a 2-pick to double your money, goes from a 3-pick to roughly 5x your money. So $10 turns into a total payout of 60, which means a total profit of 50, right? You start to understand how the payouts work. But as I mentioned, it does not matter what individual plays you add. So I take out Fred VanVleet, I add Kristaps Porzingis over 2.5 assists, and guess what? The payout is the exact same. 5x on a 3-pick one. If I remove Pascal Siakam at the top, it is still 3x for a two-leg one, so doubling your money. So that is the second point that is really, really, really important to understand, is that it does not matter what individual plays you add in an underdog entry. These payouts are always going to be the exact same. So, and I can go through each one. So a two-leg entry, as I mentioned, doubles your money, gives you a payout of 3x. Remove your risk, gives you a profit of 2x. A 3-leg entry on Underdog gives you a total payout of 6x, so a profit of 5x, meaning if I risked $10, I would get a total return of $60, assuming all three of these plays hit. so a total profit of 50. I add a fourth leg, that payout turns into 10x, so I 9x my profit. So a 4-leg entry, if all 4 legs hit, gives you a total payout of $100, a total profit of $90. And then you add one more, you add a 5th one, and you 20x your payout. So you get a payout of 20x. So $10 returns $200. Again, if all 5 hit, meaning you get $10 for a total profit of $190. And I'll say this one last time. It does not matter what individual legs that you add. The payout is always going to be the exact same. So because of that information, because we know what the payout is going to be for each number of legs, we can actually back out what the implied odds are for the total parlay, the total entry, as well as the individual legs. And that is exactly what is on the screen here. For a 2-pick entry on Underdog, I mentioned that you double your money. That equates to a parlay of plus 200. If you break that out per individual leg of a 2-leg parlay, it has an individual leg of minus 137. Basically saying if you have a 2-leg parlay and each individual leg is at minus 137, that equates to a total payout, a total odds of plus 200, which doubles your money. For a 3-pick entry, you 5x your money in terms of profit, has the implied odds per individual leg of minus 122. A 4-pick one has a plus 900. In terms of profit, you 9x your money in profit, implied odds per individual leg of minus 128. And then lastly, for a 5-pick one, has the implied odds of plus 1900. You 19x your money, which has an individual leg parlay of minus 122. So right off the bat, we see that the most optimal entries to place on Underdog are 3 and 5 picks. If you're looking at the math, if you're looking at value, you get the best bang for your buck if you play a 3 and a 5 pick option, a power play on Underdog. Now I mentioned Underdog has the option of insurance. I will explain what that means. But another thing that's cool is because we know what the payouts are, right, of the total entries, we also know what the break-even number is for each entry as well. So for a 2-leg entry, you need to win over a third of your bets in order to be profitable. If you hit exactly 1/3 of your entries that are 2 legs, you will break even. For a 3-pick one, you need to win over a 16.67% rate in order to be profitable. For a 4-pick one, that number is at 10%. And for a 5-pick one, that number is at 5%. So a couple things to note here. Number one, you see how low these numbers are. So when you are playing entries on Underdog, don't get discouraged if you don't have a high win percentage. Like if you're consistently playing 3 picks on Underdog, which is optimal, right? The optimal entry, and you win 20%, you are an absolute legend on Underdog. That means you lose 8 out of every 10 bets, every 10 entries that are 3 picks, and you are still profiting. So it's really easy to get discouraged when you're losing 80% of your entries. But when you're doing that and still making money, it's a beautiful thing. So if you go on a heater, and let's pretend you win 3-leg entries in a row on Underdog, you could literally lose the next 17 of your entries on Underdog and still be profitable. That's how the math works there. So don't get discouraged with the lower win percentage because, like I said, you don't need to hit at a high rate in order to make money on Underdog. But to recap, the most optimal entries are 3 and 5 picks, and they are the most optimal entries to place without the insurance. But let's talk about the insurance. So we're on a 3-leg entry. You see this little selection here for the insurance. The way the insurance works is you can now lose one of your 3 legs and still get your money back. The downside is the payout is less if you win all 3. So we see right here on a 3-leg entry using the insurance, if you win all 3, you only double your money. That comes from non-insurance, you 5x your money in terms of, we're talking about profit here. But if you lose one of your 3 legs, you at least get your money back. So if you risk $10 and you lose one of your 3 legs, you will get that $10 back. If you win all 3, you will double your money. So I get a lot of questions of if you should play the insurance. The answer is actually no. It is not optimal strategically to place the insurance. Now the math is on the screen here. Now I don't want to make this too complicated. I don't want to overcomplicate it. This is a beginner level tutorial. All you need to know is that the implied odds per individual leg, if you add the insurance, is minus 137. So the same as a 2-leg one. But if you don't use the insurance, as I mentioned, the implied odds are minus 122. So they go down significantly. So in terms of value, significantly better to not place the insurance. But that is not the case with a 4 and a 5 pick entry. So I mentioned when you are using Underdog that 3 and 5 picks are the best. But when you are using insurance, 4 and 5 picks are the best. So the insurance only makes sense if you're placing a 4 and a 5 pick option. And we can talk through the math on a 4 pick entry as well with the insurance. So if you remember the odds for a 4 pick non-insurance option, you roughly 9x in terms of profit, you 10x your payout. If you click the insurance button and you still win all 4, that payout goes down from 10x to 6x. So you will 5x your money in terms of profit. You will turn $10 into $50 profit. If you lose one of your 4 legs, you get a payout of 1.5x. So you get a profit of 0.5. So if you place a $10 entry on 4 legs, you lose one of your 4 legs, you will get a total return of $15. So a profit of $5 if you use the insurance. So the math on that, the implied odds without the insurance, as I mentioned, were minus 128. The implied odds with the insurance are down to minus 122. So it is optimal to use the insurance if you are placing a 4-leg entry on Underdog. And it's the same for a 5 pick. The value is optimal as well to use the insurance on a 5 pick option as well. I mentioned that the implied odds of a 5 pick one are minus 122. If you use the insurance, they go down to minus 121. That's better. So we can talk about the payout option for 5 picks as well. If you remember, if you hit a 5 pick option with no insurance, you get a total payout of 20x. So you 19x your money in terms of profit. If you use the insurance and you still hit all 5, that goes down to a payout of 10x, so a profit of 9x. If you win 4 of 5, you get a payout of 2.5x. So if you risk $10, you will get a total return of 25, a total profit of 15. So the math does support using the insurance on a 5 pick option. So to recap here, when you are placing bets, entries on Underdog, you want to do a 3 pick flex with no insurance, or you want to do a 4 or a 5 pick flex with insurance. And that's how Underdog Fantasy works. Hopefully this video made sense. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out. You can comment on the video. Other than that, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. As I mentioned, you can hit me up on social media at my Twitter handle, Jedi Modi, you see on the screen here. And that's it. So I appreciate everybody for watching, and have a good one.